Well. We're back for season 2. What the hell is our podcast called?
Monarch Sports Talk, or is it Monarch Sports F1?
Monarch Sports Talk. We're going season 2. I think we have to go season 2, episode 1.
That would make sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the F1 season is right around the corner. It's Thursday the 17th. So they're starting practice tomorrow in Bahrain. Which is interesting because they're going to be going straight. They just did a whole practice run there. You know, they had their second testing week was in Bahrain.
Yeah, everybody's got a lot of laps in. Well, most drivers have a lot of laps in, except for Danny Rick. 0. So Danny Rick,
he got 0 laps in?
Yeah, Ricardo tested positive for COVID, so he missed the testing.
Rough.
I don't know. It might be wrong. Like he might have more than 0 laps, but he didn't get nearly as many as the rest of the drivers. And Lando pulled a crazy amount.
Right, and we got a last-minute return from the Hulk.
The Hulk, unfortunately for Sebastian Vettel, you know, it would have been nice if it wasn't Vettel kind of being subbed out, but that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, exactly. But I always love seeing Hulk get back in the lineup.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's crazy because, you know, it feels like COVID isn't really a thing anymore, but now all these drivers are testing positive for COVID and they're missing races. So that's a little unfortunate.
Yeah. The Formula One, the FIA, it's a big beast.
Pretty strict out there.
Yeah. Let's just say it's there's a lot on the line.
Yeah. It's pretty exciting testing. A little preseason in Bahrain there for sure. I mean, just everything from the first car unveilings with the livery and then the new design, and then even just the first laps.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's looking like in terms of livery, since you just mentioned that, what were who was the biggest changes? I mean, I feel like Alpine, they added a little bit of
Alpine is probably like the biggest change. Aston Martin still green, Ferrari still red, Red Bull still blue, red, yellow.
Mercedes is back to silver.
Mercedes is back to the silver arrow design.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of nice. I kind of like that silver.
Yeah, I mean, it looks slick black for sure, but it's the silver arrow, right? That's what you just mentioned. So yeah, it's pretty classic.
Yeah.
Okay, so getting past
sorry to interrupt you there, George, but one more big livery change would be Haas, the American team. No more Russian funding from Uralkali,
which makes sense in this this day and age.
Makes sense. So they dropped the sponsor, they dropped the sponsor's driver, Nikita Mazepin. So no more Mazepin. In comes Kevin Magnussen.
So do you think, I mean, one could say they dropped Mazepin because he is Russian, which I don't think is the fact. I think the fact is that they dropped him because his funding was coming from, you know, Russian sponsors, specifically Uralkali, whatever it's called.
Something like that. Yeah.
So being the driver that he is, Mazepin didn't have the best debut year. We all know that. I think he was a no-brainer. You're just going to get rid of him.
I think they're going to be better for it. I mean, Magnussen's, I would hope, a better driver than what Mazepin was last season. For sure. So I think having a veteran in that team should help Mick Schumacher as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it'll be an exciting year from Haas, or at least more exciting. Hopefully they can try and get closer up into that midfield.
Yeah.
Instead of kind of being the back of the grid for every single Grand Prix. They had a really good preseason.
They did. Yeah. They're actually, like, in terms of like power rankings, they're actually, I think I saw them come out ahead of Williams. Who else? Maybe ahead of Aston Martin. Like, Aston Martin didn't look that great in terms of like the F1 power rankings that they do.
Yeah, they didn't really have a strong testing period there.
I'll look that up really quick.
But yeah, I mean, I think there's the usual suspects. Mercedes and Red Bull are going to be right up there. Mercedes is talking a lot about how they're not on pace with Ferrari or Red Bull, but a few drivers have kind of come out and called them on their BS, so to speak.
Yeah, the classic sandbagging.
One being Carlos Sainz, the other being Max Verstappen. They both kind of said that, you know what, Mercedes do this every year. They say they're not on pace with the other top teams, and they come out and blow us out of the water at the first Grand Prix.
It never gets old. It really doesn't. Yeah, not just classic Mercedes. You know, they're gonna compete. They've been competing / dominating for the last 8 years. You know,
basically a decade.
Yeah, almost a full decade. So there's no way that they don't come out of this, you know, competing for that top spot. Really excited to see George Russell in there. I think it's going to be great to have some really just like quick young talent sitting beside the GOAT, some would say, Lewis Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
Others would argue that for sure.
Yeah, others would argue. There's not a huge argument to be had these days. I mean, he has hold almost every record there is to hold. I think if he wins one more, it's one more drivers' championship, then he breaks the record. He's tied with Schumacher at the moment.
Yeah.
So has he had the fastest car for almost a decade? Yeah, he has. Is he still one of the best drivers ever? Yes, he is. He doesn't make many mistakes. Like he's a super quick driver. He's a super smart driver. He's obviously dedicated to the sport, and I think he deserves a lot of the credit that he gets. But at the same time, you do kind of have to look at the machine that he's in. Not to say that this, and it is just part of the sport, you know, like other teams have had equal amount of money, if not more, Ferrari and Red Bull being one of them, and they didn't compete for a number of years. So that at the end of the day, it's just the other part of the sport. Driving is one part, and the whole behind the scenes manufacturing, engineering, and the whole team aspect is the other part of F1. So
absolutely,
every other team had the opportunity to compete with Mercedes.
Yeah, it was just a technology. Yeah, their technology was just like far ahead. They were able to put the funding. And then when you start getting in that role of winning a constructors championship over and over again, that's like, it's hundreds of millions of dollars that are on the line that you can then put into the next year.
So now taking that dominance into consideration going into this year with brand new regulations, this is a brand new era for F1. In case anybody's like new to the sport, just started watching our podcast, just started watching Drive to Survive on Netflix, whatever you have been doing. It's a brand new era. This hasn't happened in a decade at least. Yeah. So it's super exciting. The cars are brand new designs. Like you look at that Ferrari, man, those side pods are crazy. You could almost take a bath in them.
Yeah.
So a lot of the cars are different. They're shaped different for aerodynamics and downforce and everything.
Yeah.
So it'll be super fun to like get into the first practice and then qualifying and race day and see which teams are standing out and who needs to continue to work on their cars and then carry that into the rest of the season.
Absolutely. And like you kind of said about the whole team aspect and the packages that the factories put together, that's what they're kind of saying. Ferrari could have a nice little potential like head start on Mercedes, on Red Bull, on McLaren. Maybe not so much McLaren in the sense that Ferrari kind of stopped investing in their car well before halfway through last season so that they could be putting as much funds as possible into this new design, into this new package. And I'm really hoping that they come out, swinging in these first couple races. In two spots that Mercedes kind of dominates in the Middle East. The tracks just seem to suit that car really well with their whole package. And then Red Bull just seems like they always find a way.
Yeah, we'll see. I feel like you can kind of throw a lot of the history out the window, except for the money part of it. So the
Mhm.
teams with the most money, this goes for a lot of sports, are a lot of the time very successful.
Yes.
So I don't think that part is going to change in F1. I think Mercedes and Red Bull and Ferrari and now McLaren has been right up there for a number of seasons. I think they're still going to be competing race in, race out. But now there's going to be other midfield and bottom tier teams that we've had the past 5 or so seasons now kind of push for podiums, which will be super fun.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be awesome. And it seems like track wise this year, they're hitting the Middle East, and then what, we got rid of Russia, so I think, is Portugal back in the mix this year?
I
I don't know
don't
if they've decided that yet.
I don't think Portugal is back as far as I know, but I know Imola is back.
Right.
So
So
the
then,
Italian, the narrow Italian circuit.
right, and they get, so the Italians get 2 races again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Australia gets their first race back, and I think they missed 2 seasons in a row. So
Yeah, that'll be Australian Grand Prix is always fun. It's always
it is a fun one.
it's a good circuit, and I think the fans will obviously be super fired up to be there after not being in attendance for 2 seasons.
Absolutely. And I think Booter is actually going to be down there for that one, which
Our
is
guy,
fucking awesome.
he'll be
Yeah,
the
so
Monarch Sports representative.
he will be for sure.
We gotta try and get him into pit lane.
Yeah, pit access. Um, yeah, nice. And then Canada we got our first GP back in 3 years too, so that's super exciting. Um, yeah, nothing else jumping out. Holland, which we actually didn't get to see, did we, last year?
No, didn't they just announce it last season and this will be the first year?
No, I think they had to cancel it because of COVID.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
speaking of a new circuit, Miami, it's brand new.
that'll be coming next year though, right?
Is it 23?
Oh no. Oh no, it's October 23rd is the race.
Yeah, okay. I thought so.
I
Yeah,
think.
so it'll be a cool circuit, I think. I mean, I don't really know if it's going to be like super technical, if it's going to be super fast, but I think just looking at it, it'll be fun. They race right around Hard Rock Stadium.
No, I think that's going to be next year, dude.
Yeah, okay.
Um, I'm reading. It's just calling it the United States Grand Prix. There's only one. Yeah, in Austin. Yeah. So not this year. 2023 probably. Super exciting though. That's big for America and North America in general.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so who's your, going into Bahrain here, who's your pole taker, and who do you think wins the race?
Oof. I think Max Verstappen continues his spectacular 2021 season there.
Yep.
Takes pole, and I think he will take the first race. But I think Ferrari's going to have a really strong showing.
Yep.
Just kind of based off of their pace in preseason testing. I think both drivers had a really good preseason. They both got a lot of laps in. They both had really good times. So I think the car is pretty tuned in, and I think they'll have it. They'll be one of the teams that are trying to pushing for the podium and the win.
Absolutely. I agree. And it's nice. I mean, with Ferrari having, 2 drivers who are super, super hungry and super keen to be world champions, with Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz.
Mm-hmm.
Both those guys, and they did go head to head really well last year. I feel like Leclerc got a little unlucky a number of times.
Ferrari's come out and said during preseason that they're not going to be taking a number 1 and 2 driver kind of strategy. They're going to let them race. And will that last the whole season? Probably not. Like, I think if they're competing for the championship and they get to a point in the season where one driver has a healthy-ish lead on the other, then I think they will favor that one.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just like being smart as a team.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And you've got a, I think they've got a chance to really get some points, really move up in the constructors. And they're going to have to do whatever they can to, as a team, to get there. Right.
Yeah.
That's what was so nice about seeing that teamwork with Perez and Verstappen in that last race of last season.
Yeah, it was.
You know, typically with these teammates, they're always kind of only looking out for themselves, but that was that was probably one of the best team performances I've ever seen.
Yeah, it made it definitely made those couple laps in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix there pretty interesting.
Oh, did it ever?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, as you can see from my background here, going for Red Bull. Got it would be nice to see Verstappen up on pole once again, kind of where he likes to be. But I also love seeing a Verstappen that's kind of in that P2, P3, P4 space, because he's just an aggressive driver that's going to make an entertaining race happen, you know, or kind of do everything he can to make that happen. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm also looking forward to seeing McLaren, and you know, it is too bad that Danny Rick couldn't get as much time in the car in testing, but seeing his dynamic with Lando Norris for a second season is going to be really interesting.
McLaren just got sponsored by Google Chrome.
They did, eh?
So they got the Chrome wheels.
Wow. Google Chrome. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's going to be a fun season. And who's our new driver this year?
Zhu.
It's a Japanese guy, right?
Isn't he Chinese?
Or Chinese? Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, Yuki Tsunoda was Japanese.
Yeah.
And Tsunoda's still there. Yeah, he's Chinese.
Haven't heard much from him, honestly. Haven't seen any interviews. Didn't hear much of him during preseason testing. So
yeah, me neither.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and Bottas with Alfa Romeo. It'll be interesting to see him battle at the back.
You know, I think it'll be fun to see Bottas in a non-Mercedes car in an Alfa Romeo. I think he's like a pretty good driver, but fell victim to the Mercedes team strategy with Lewis Hamilton obviously being as good as he is in a fast car, the fastest car on the grid.
Yeah.
He's going to be their number one driver every day.
And guess who else we have back is Alex Albon. I forgot about him.
Alex Albon racing with Williams.
With Williams, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Williams, it'd be nice to see Williams kind of make another step. I feel like at times you could see that last season.
Yeah.
But I'm not really convinced.
Yeah, because I do feel like a lot of their success last season was kind of coming off of the skill of George Russell.
Exactly. I think George Russell pulled out a lot of results that maybe a lot of drivers wouldn't have.
Yeah, he was in that car for what, 3 years at least. So he maximized, you know, everything he could out of that Formula One car. Yeah.
See, and you have to think this is an important season for Alex Albon. I mean, he went from Red Bull, didn't really succeed, went to or was with AlphaTauri, was racing really well, went to Red Bull, didn't succeed, got bounced from that seat, took a season off, is now coming back to Williams. So I think he's got a point to prove. I want to see him do well. Hopefully, it's nice to have young drivers on the grid.
Yeah, and he's teamed up with Latifi, so hey, he's got a good chance because I don't have much faith in our other Canadian there, Latifi.
Yeah,
Nicolas
didn't show a lot of promise. I think the biggest Latifi moment of the season was in the last race at Abu Dhabi when he put his car into the wall.
Yeah, saved the championship for Max.
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah, man. Well, I mean, I'm super excited to see how this first weekend goes, and it's always crazy how fast, you know, the season ended in early December, and then it's like, yeah, you get a couple quick months off, and here we are back in March.
Yeah, quick off season. The way fans love it. I mean, I love it as a fan. I'm sure everybody else does. And
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how it feels to be a driver. I'm sure they got lots of time in Monaco. So
For sure they did. Yeah, they love it. They have to. This is what they do, right?
Yeah.
Any last minute mentions there, Mitch?
I don't think so. I would say just watch out for some surprise performances. Being a brand new era, everybody's got brand new technology and machinery, so I think
Yeah.
it'll be more of an equal playing field. Don't expect your Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull, and Mercedes to dominate everybody else. I think they're going to feel some heat coming from behind them. Will it happen in the first race? Who knows? It might take some teams to kind of warm up, but I think Haas is one to watch. I like the team dynamic happening over there.
Yeah.
Steiner is probably my favorite team principal. And I think Mick Schumacher had a lot of really good moments last season and just kind of didn't have the pace, and they may have fixed that judging on their preseason. And now they have that veteran driver in Magnussen to kind of help coach Mick through any questions and mentality issues or anything like that a young driver could have. I think that'll do wonders for the team.
Absolutely. I think that was probably the best move they made, was bringing in someone with the experience like Magnussen, especially with how toxic it felt like that relationship with Mazepin was. I almost called him Mazepin.
Yeah.
And Schumacher, like it felt like they were constantly bickering at each other. They were constantly in each other's ears and faces. So it's going to be nice. Hopefully, I imagine Magnussen is probably coming in with that in mind. I'm sure they briefed him on exactly what you just mentioned. It would be the smartest thing for them to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be good. What are your quick thoughts on the latest Drive to Survive season? It's been interesting seeing even the drivers. I feel like speaking out about it a little bit more, saying how next season they don't want to be involved or whatever. I can't remember who said it today. Maybe Vettel or something.
Well, I think Verstappen was saying he watched 2 episodes and stopped watching it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I kind of know where they're coming from, because you can't blame the drivers for not wanting to be part of all the drama and things that Netflix will maybe not necessarily like make up as in fiction, but kind of dramatize.
Yeah.
They'll kind of make the most out of certain situations to portray an image that's more entertaining than maybe the real thing that happened with the intentions as it did.
It's Hollywood. It's Netflix,
Exactly. So you take it for what it is. It's kind of fun to watch the series as a brand new fan. For a lot of fans and obviously the drivers and people of the sport, they might not like love this series, because at the end of the day, it's entertainment, and they're trying to get new fans to the sport and bring new people in to watch races and to attend races and everything. And I think they accomplished that, because the last 2 or 3 seasons of Drive to Survive, everybody keeps talking about them, and it's one of the most popular series on Netflix.
And you've got a lot of people who you never would even think are Formula One fans, are, as soon as you mention it, or maybe you see someone with a hat or whatever, and it just sparks a good conversation. And I think a lot of credit in North America does go to this Drive to Survive series. So yeah, I'm only like a couple episodes in, so I gotta do some catching up, but yeah, entertainment. I think you put it really well there. It's entertainment at the end of the day.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in to our first episode, season 2 of Monarch Sports Talk. We're going to be recapping the Bahrain GP. So like the video, share it, save it, whatever you got to do. My name's Jordan. This is Mitch. We're going to get Booter on here, who's down in Australia next time, and he'll have a lot to say. He always does.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week. Peace.